And now, your official TigerBait live show with Mike Scarborough and Buddy Songy starts now.
All right, guys, welcome in another edition of TigerBait Live. Got a lot to discuss tonight. Obviously, a big national signing day, although they don't call it National Signing Day anymore, but that's still what I'm going to call it. First signing period today. Still not done with this recruiting class. Should have some more news shortly before the weekend. And but I think overall a very good day today. We can kind of go getting all the details position by position. Maybe one or two things where we have some questions or some critiques that aren't exactly totally positive. But overall, I think LSU met a lot of needs and really solidified some things at multiple positions. And LSU beats Coppin State. Kim Mulkey just made some news on her Zoom call with the media right before we went live, just kind of spitballing, but at the same time is talking about how she's got an idea of putting down a court in the Tiger Stadium and playing Southern in a basketball game inside the football stadium and trying to figure out the logistics and if it could work or not. So that's very interesting. But she also said she hadn't talked to Southern about it. So look for that to start making some waves here in the next hour or two. And as soon as we get that video, we're going to have that uploaded to our YouTube channel. Her post game was pretty darn good. And the Coppin State folks were really appreciative of LSU coming to town. And they had a great crowd, and we're very happy about a defending national champion with it has never been done before, playing it at HBCU. And evidently it was a positive night for both schools, and LSU took care of business. So Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas, Buddy. Welcome in, Buddy.
Good to see you, Mike Scarborough. By the way, the biggest guru of LSU women's basketball.
Yeah.
And just click onto the post-game interviews with Coach Kelly. Obviously, he pales in comparison to Kim Mulkey. Must-see TV. Hey, it is no longer the Bayou recruiting bash. You and I were having a little nostalgia today. I kind of wanted to reminisce. Many of you out there watching tonight, remember the days when everybody would go over to the different venues and eat Manda sausage and jambalaya and get shafast and drink beer and spill food and everything. And it was a happening. And it was a party. And we enjoyed it, Mike and I, because we got a chance to interact with many of you out there. So first of all, thank you for all those years. Secondly, Merry Christmas. And thirdly, Mike and I will give you some input about what we thought transpired today. Probably not sexy. Did the job. He's worried about D tackles. Where's the beef? But I might have a different view. And, oh, by the way, let me get it out of the way right now. I was wrong. I was a dumbass.
What?
I thought Brian Kelly was a little smarter.
But we don't know that yet.
We don't know that yet. But all signs pointing to sleeping in the same house next year.
We'll see.
So, well, also you you get more information.
No,
anyway,
I've just have never totally bought in that there was going to be a change at DC, and I still don't think that. I mean, if it happens, it happens. But I'm not sold that it's 100%. I still think it's 50-50, and it might be more 60-40 that he stays. And
yeah,
just looking at the two of them.
Well, everybody's saying that he's going to stay, and I just say this. They've got to kick it up in two phases of defense, Mike. And that is statistically third down, all those things. But you got to get better coaches, better fits, and we'll see what's coming around. The instability at the defensive line position. I think there's been 6 or 7 different coaches in the last 7-8 years, but we'll talk about all that. 27 signees today. Juwan Johnson, Coach Kelly, beaming about him. I think he's up to about 190 now. And can play a lot of positions. Big Uglies, Brad Davis. We'll get into all that. But happy holidays and Merry Christmas to all of you to open up our show tonight.
Well, I tell you what, let's dive into it. We're going to get in the comments here in a little bit, but I really want to just go group by group real fast. Obviously, one of the biggest issues on the football team for the last 2 seasons has been defensive back. I think LSU's haul of safeties and corners a half a dozen all told. That combined with what you're going to have back from injury, some of the freshmen that we got to see a bit of that I think are going to be even more seasoned. Once we find out who's going to be coaching safeties and who's going to be coaching cornerbacks, once the dust settles on whatever changes are going to be happening, and I don't think it's going to happen before they get on the buses on the 26th to head to Tampa. No, it's going to happen after New Year's Day.
Sure.
And so the guy that I pretty much have felt is going to be the D-line coach, I'm not saying names. I still think that's going to be the guy. But then it's up in the air. And then the other question I have, which we didn't bring up today, special teams. Is Peyton Todd the punter? Are they going to get? Is there going to be a special teams coach? Or are they going to still do it the special teams the same way in 2024? And if not, are you waiting for a new special teams coach to go out and see if he can find someone to compete with Peyton Todd to be the starting punter? But we didn't get to that question today. I was hoping the mic would get back to me for that. But overall, I like what they did at quarterback. I like what they did at running back with Caden Durham.
Mm-hmm.
The wide receivers are what they are. It's obviously you're going to be the post Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas era. Who's going to be the 1, 2, and 3 wide receivers next year? It's going to be a robust competition. Absolutely. Number 1 tight end in the country, Trey'Dez Green. Linebackers, I like that group. And so, but what group don't I like? I'm not a big fan of the defensive line haul. And I know Dominic McKinley's still out there and a real possibility. He'll sign in February. But if you heard, I think I was the second question today.
Yeah.
And I said, was that pretty much a tell that not going, because he intimated probably a month ago that they would be looking to the portal.
Sure.
And the fact that they didn't bring in any visitors, no offers extended to defensive tackles. Yes, it's a tell. It is a tell that Wingo and Mason Smith will be back.
And by the way, both of those guys, Mike, were preseason all SEC first team. So the first thing you got to do, stabilize with a blockbuster D-line coach and get some more productivity. Mason still played too high. Wingo was heavy and hurt. And let's include Savion Jones, who got to 280, probably needs to get a little bit lighter. You get those 3 guys. That's one of the things I wanted to bring up. They did not bring in freshmen. But if you get Wingo, Mason Smith, and Savion Jones, even though they haven't played up to their potential in their star rating, those are 3 guys that are plug and play and have been starters. That's more valuable than if you got 3 4-star D linemen who aren't going to be ready for a couple of years.
Well, the problem with I'll say this. I think you needed one. If you got both Wingo and Mason Smith coming back, I still think you needed one really, really good with experience defensive tackle. Okay. I'm not talking about freshmen that are so great that they can come in and play early. I just think that you're going to be several years now going forward, because while that buys you some time and that makes your 24 easier, and don't forget about Jacoby and Guillory,
right,
backing them 2 up. But then everybody's gone after next year. They're all gone.
Well, the state did not have,
But
But the state didn't have a plethora of D linemen.
But then the timing of that is bad because there's no defensive tackles in Louisiana for 25.
But how can you recruit D linemen when you have had such instability and you're not putting anybody in the pros? Now, BJ Ojolari, I think went third round. Caleb Von Chason was a first rounder with that group in 19. But you got to get back to getting the Glenn Dorsey's and the Marcus Spears.
But next year you can say all you want. I want to build the class with freshmen, build the program. Well, because of this has happened, you're not going to be able to do that next year. You're going to have to go to the portal.
By the way, next year, folks, this day is going to be appreciably more happy for you. They're going to be loaded next year. What did they end up? Composite 10?
I think that's last I've seen is 10th.
10, right around 10. Georgia, Bama 1-2. Texas comes out 5. Oklahoma 8. Ole Miss with their transfer portal, they have put all their chips in the middle of the pot and are going all in on next year. I think LSU is a year away from doing great things. New quarterback, losing all the offense, as you alluded to with the defense. But 2025, you got a chance to have a special year, especially if you bring in Underwood and that group. But I understand. Look, Mike and I have been doing this since days when Ernie Batto went to Florida.
Yeah, but then you're
and they couldn't get any D tackles in here.
But that position's in a lot better spot. You're talking about 25. Well, in 25, you're not going to have Will Campbell and Emory Jones,
right? But they got linemen, offensive linemen are coming.
But because that position has been recruited so damn well, you're going to be fine. And I mean, and think that you would ever be able to say that about LSU, where you're looking ahead, knowing you're going to lose those two great guys, and you're in great shape.
And you Tiger fans know it's in the trenches with the SEC. LSU's always going to have to skill people with everybody. Always good. Tight end, by the way, Cameron Pimpton and Trey'Dez Green. This is going to be interesting.
Well, I just know this. When it comes to this defensive front, okay, I'm not buying anything.
Okay.
You're not going to spin me. No, I don't care if the greatest defensive line coach is here coaching them in the spring. You're not going to buy. I'm not buying what anybody's selling. I'm from Missouri. Show me. I'm waiting until I see.
Let me just add one thing, and we'll get into our audience. I'm not buying bringing Matt House back. I'm sorry. It's not personal, but the crap that I watched, the disrespect. McElroy said the opener in Vegas, defense optional, USC and LSU. The man's got a 10-year contract. He's making $100 million over 10 years, $10 million a year plus bonuses and all. He better get this defense fixed. You're all upset about the D linemen, D tackles. I'm upset about retaining.
What's the whole thing? It's the whole thing. I mean,
you don't get the defense fixed, you learn just how ugly Baton Rouge can be. And I'm not talking about just that 10 o'clock news.
It's not just the interior. I mean, I'm focusing on that. But I'm not. I don't see where there's edge rushing that's going to be locked in. And if I'm whoever the new D-line coach is and whoever's coaching the guys off the edge, Savion Jones won't have a starting job.
I agree.
He's got to earn it.
Jackson Howard,
Womack, etc.
Jackson Howard going to play in this bowl game, by the way. All the other wide receivers, everybody we thought might not play, also Logan Diggs, all those guys are playing. Obviously, Jaden Farrett penned his farewell speech and bye-bye this week, a class act, and you wish him the best. He's going to go with the team, hang with the team. You think Neighbors shuts it down after he breaks the record?
Maybe a little bit after, which is good. That's fine.
Yeah, but
James Moore, hey, Mike and Buddy, BK is known for building offenses with the great OL tight end and running back. He has solidified that with the Tigers in year 2, but the defense just needs to be good, not great, like the 2019 Tigers. I think that was the case this year. I think next year they need to be better than just adequate. They've got to be, a complete 180. I think next year. You don't know who your number 1 wide receiver is going to be. Can Lacey be a number 2, or is he more of a 3, regardless of not having Neighbors and Thomas there? I don't see Lacey as a number 1. Maybe I'm wrong. Running game, I think, is going to be there.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to throw the ball.
Nuss starting his first game as an LSU Tiger. Thank goodness, to no clue at all, NCAA changed that rule. If you remember, if Nuss would have had that opportunity, he would have started against Kansas State. They changed the rule because so many players are opting out now, and you need that availability. His first start, do they wing it? I mean, what's this thing going to look like? Is it going to look like second half SEC championship against Georgia, or more laid back, controlled, run the football, get your records, and then get boring? Is this a show or not?
I think if you're feeling it, you showcase it. I think it's important that he has a good game.
Yeah.
He needs to be able to plant that flag, especially when you go out in the portal and you don't get a quarterback that's being brought in to compete against them. You need to be able to show that was the right move. And man, if you can't get it done with Thomas and Neighbors that you're throwing to for a period of time in that football game, then it's going to be a long off season with a lot of people scratching their head and hedging their bets on what the record's going to be. But I will say this, thinking about the offense and with the weapons and to make it go. I mean, Taylor's got to have a bounce back year at tight end. Pimpton, want to see what he looks like. Trey Green, can he make an impact as a freshman? I think the tight end's going to be big next year, and I think probably a lot more balls being thrown to running backs.
By the way, Trey Green, Coach Kelly kind of intimated you may see him as a big wide receiver. He does not look like a tight end. Only reason he's playing tight end over there is because he's, 230?
Right.
Now, it depends on his body type, but that guy can run. And wait till you see Pimpton. He's green. He's raw. But LSU is going to have some wingspan at tight end. And obviously, getting back to all of that defensively, don't forget, folks, you got DBs that just got their feet wet. Is Toviano going to be a corner or a safety next year? Hughes, as you know, all the other guys, Stamps, Zy Alexander coming back. But the thing about it is, Mike, I just saw it on the SEC network. Ole Miss have brought in 10 from the transfer portal, and 7 of the 10 are really good defensive players. That was a home run for Kiffin to go steal Pete Golding. Now, I don't know if they wanted Pete Golding to go, but Pete Golding's a better DC at Ole Miss than what LSU's got right now.
The word on Golding is you don't see him in out scouting high school players anymore because his whole job is working the portal.
Yeah. So Ole Miss is going to be preseason ahead of you. If they give you the screaming red ass 3 days or 4 days before Christmas, we can't help you.
All right, guys. If you're enjoying the show,
5 days.
Please hit that like button and please share the show to your social media, your Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you like to do. Text the link to your friends. Very much appreciative. Roman Israel with a hand clap. Glad to have you with us, Roman. Reaper 08, let's go. Shane LaCrosse, LFG, let's blank go. Yep. Glad to have you with us, Shane. David Lawrence, woo-woo, TigerBait rundown on recruiting day. Chance Babin says 27 for 27. All right.
I think somebody sent me a message 10 years ago was 5 for 5. And that was funny. Back to the Bayou Bash and all that. I'll never forget the time when McKnight was doing the TV announcement. And, man, everybody was fired up. And I don't remember exactly the time. It was in the morning. But you remember that the air just was out of that. But LSU won a national championship while Joe McKnight was at USC. So you never know. You got Jamal Adams instead of Hootie and the Blowfish. I mean, come on. You just never know who's going to work out. You never know the heart. You never know the fit. And, we'll see. But I do think, and I agree with you, you've got to get more Glenn Dorsey's, Marcus Spears, Marquise Hills, Kyle Williams on that defensive front.
Absolutely. Palermo Trapani, 247, Composite has LSU 10th. Yeah, that's kind of what we've seen going into this. And Cohen Eccles put in a prediction earlier for him to LSU. And that's going down to tomorrow. So, all right. So another offensive lineman in the fold. Man, Brad Davis. It really, I mean, think about all the very, very good and excellent football teams we've seen at LSU in the last 20 plus years. Never have you seen the offensive line going to go now how many years in a row where you're like, that's not a question mark. Maybe you can say who's going to be the center, or you can do, but is there anybody that's worrying about offensive line now? And you can see where it's going to be great next year, the year after, the depth that's there. And as a group, they've look how healthy they stayed last season.
Yeah, Lance Hurd is itching to play. Most people feel like Miles Frazier, by the way, did get honored at Senior Day, even though he had another year. If he leaves, it's only obvious that Emery will move to right guard. Lance Hurd will be at right tackle. I don't know if Turner's got another year or not with COVID year. DJ Chester's going to be competing at center. If you get Garrett Dellinger at left guard and Campbell at left tackle, and then you bring in some of these big timers. Weston Davis is a 5-star, folks. I mean, this kid Eccles has got great potential at center. As you alluded to, I think you're going to be too deep next year. And normally, Brian Lazar and myself always say you got 7 or 8. Got to have a guy that plays 2 positions. I think you might be across the board too deep with potential.
With a few
really
spots
good.
where you got 3.
Yeah. So
Kent Jones.
And look, don't forget Bo Borderline and all the other guys.
Right.
So
Kent Jones, great class today. Yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna put great, but I'm gonna give it a solid B. I'm still kind of stewing on the defensive lineman. Rick Lewis, hey Mike and Buddy, how do you grade today's signing day? Not like the old days. Is more to come on the defensive line. Look, that's why I asked BK that question. What was the debate? What was the internal discussion about whether to go to the portal for some interior defensive linemen? And is the fact that you didn't go after any or bring any in for visits a tell that your guys are coming back? And he said he looked at and he realized he was a kind of a cornered trick question, but it wasn't. But it was. I mean, it's true. What have we been saying all year? If Wingo would come back, that would be a nice shot in the arm, that would really help them bridge this gap because the defensive linemen are just not growing on trees.
By the way, Wingo is back practicing. As most people know, he was hurt for the majority of the back end of the season. Didn't you tell me he's going to make the official announcement January 2nd, the day after the bowl game? Look, Mason, as we know, once again, this is a typical thing about 5-stars. Wasn't Mason Smith a 5-star or was it a high 4?
I think he was a 5.
Okay. He has not lived up to that. Savion Jones, who you actually rated higher than him, has potential, probably got a little heavy. So you never know, but you got to coordinate those guys and get the pieces together. I'm still asking the question. Mike didn't know the answer. None of us know the answer. Where do you fit Harold Perkins to best utilize his talent in next year's defense? And can you be more physical than finesse with your defensive football team? I do not think the fan base would be very happy if they have a defense similar to what they just saw. He's got to improve that. Coaching, players, the whole 9 yards.
Blaine Smith, now tell me we got some good coaching changes on defense. Well, we kind of Blaine put that in at a little bit at 5 after. Obviously, we talked about that a while back, and I'm catching up with a lot of your messages. If you missed that, Blaine, just roll back to kind of to the beginning of the show. Guy Brooks, good evening, Mike and Buddy. Great day for my Tigers with 27 signees. Fire 3449. Everyone hit the like button. Michael Johnson was at Denver Harris wearing number 10. No, that was Kai Prean. Wide receiver had moved to corner, and I'm very excited to see how that experiment plays out because he is a gifted athlete. Obviously, a ton of bodies at wide receiver. And wouldn't that be something if that is a move that proves to be something huge for that young man and LSU in turn? I wouldn't put it past Kai from being able to play that position and play it well.
If you missed it, 14 of the 27 are early enrollees. I kind of like Jawan Johnson to get some reps at cornerback. And obviously Coach Kelly was talking about his versatility.
14 signees at midterm.
Yeah. And so that'll help out with spring and help the transition. You love McBride. We know we know that, he's a guy that is a taller safety. And once he's going to be 6'3", 210 when he's all said and done. But you liked him a whole lot. And obviously I know it's hard for people to understand this, but BK is selling the whole package, not just – if you want the most money to play college football as a freshman or a transfer portal guy, this ain't going to be the place for you. He may be bidding highest for a Harold Perkins or maybe a Bryce Underwood, but those are few and far between. He continues to say it. That GPA, that personality, that culture in the room, just as important, if not more so, than actual talent.
Absolutely. All right, it's that time. let's hear from our title sponsor and Mike and Alex.
Hi, I'm Michael.
I'm Alex.
At Pride Roofing, we handle commercial and residential work.
TPO, shingle, and metal inventory. We got it.
Property still in disarray from the recent hailstorms. Insurance claims?
No problem. Though you know Pride Roofing is the official roofer at TigerBait.com.
In fact, notify TigerBait and we'll give you a free roof inspection. And on top of that, you get a free year subscription. Call 855-PRIDE-16. Se habla español.
There you go. I talked to Mike Faraday earlier today, and he said from Pride Roofing to you guys, he wanted to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Of course, Mike and Alex own a fantastic company, Pride Roofing, 855-PRIDE-16. Tell them you heard about them right here on TigerBait. Please do that. And when they give you your free roof inspection, that's either your residential roof or your business roof. They do every type of roof. They're going to pay for you to have TigerBait Premium free for a year, and they pay that bill. And so give them a call anywhere in South Louisiana, of course, based in Hammond, a new office right on Government Street here in Baton Rouge, Houma, New Orleans, and nobody does it better than Pride Roofing.
Hey, look, folks, we interact with a lot of people that have done business with Pride Roofing. First of all, they are going to show up in the pencil. We know how tough money is, so we're going to be very competitive there. You see me donning the Pride Roofing hat. We love the stuff. We take great pride in the job they do. PFM explained it great. He said, not only did I get the best deal, but afterwards, there was no buyer's remorse. They treated me perfectly before, during, and after. He was in the middle of a storm, didn't lose the shingle. All we ask, you give him an opportunity, 275-2041 in Baton Rouge. Your buddy, Mike Kirby, and the others. If we're busy, might get an answer machine, leave us a message. 855-PRIDE-16. And as always, we take great pride. You're going to take great pride when LSU gets back that defense. And Mike and Alex are all in with this community. They're here to stay. Appreciate all of what you guys and ladies have done for them. But give them an opportunity. That's all we're asking.
Kenny Haynes with a super chat. And, of course, it's a nice segue that we're about to have. But he says, Mike, did I tell you what would happen with the $50 million lawsuit 2 years ago? Was I right? And yeah, he was. Of course, we saw the news earlier today that Sharon Lewis's lawsuit against LSU was dismissed with a jury. And, allegedly she was offered $1.5 million and to end it and in a settlement to make it go away. She wanted to go for it and go for the big money. And, she gets zero now. And so you can close the book on that. I know there's some media people who were making hay of it. I'm not going to mention the names. But now that's gone nowhere. So, and so thank you for that super chat, Kenny. And he rolled in. So let's go ahead and hear from Kenny. And of course, Kenny is the unofficial official lawyer of TigerBait.com, and he reserves the right to think most clearly for a paying client. And yeah, Kenny nailed it. That's what Kenny does on our message board. Anytime there's something like that involving LSU and contracts, he does a good job of breaking through the legalese and the Will Wade stuff and all that way back.
Sponsored post-game show. And look, it is a joy. You wouldn't believe the number of times I go on there and I'll see a lot of the discussion. And Shark generally gives you the legal viewpoint that comes to fruition about 99% of the time. And Mike, that's free advice. He is a treasure on that bulletin board website and message board because he gives you a lot of wisdom. And, it's great when you have somebody like that doesn't care about beating his own ego or his chest, but spells it out. And look, as we all know, it was crazy times at LSU, a lot of finger pointing, but I'm just glad it's over with and done with, and now we can move on. But Kenny, a lot of words of wisdom when you read Tiger Sharp. And of course, Snake and him have a lot of banter back and forth.
Yeah, Turd Ferguson replies in, of course, the late Norm McDonald, who I miss, one of the greatest comedians ever. Tylen Singleton, linebacker from right up the road in Manny, is a beast. Yeah, that's you look at that linebacker haul. I like that group. The safeties, you mentioned McBride, Rogers. They've got some really talented guys coming in the class. You got you a 16-year-old quarterback who's graduating a year early. Preston did a really fun show last night with Colin on the eve of signing day today. And so if you didn't see that, go check that out. That was fun. There you go. Xerxes, huge fan of you too. Buddy is my guy. NRM Williams says, I love what we're doing with the kids we got. And he adds a 3-star kid who won Mississippi Player of the Year. We're going to be nice. Yeah.
And Mike, let's mention this too. All these years we've covered these bashes, there's always been flips and drama and all this other stuff. This was drama-free.
It was
today.
the easiest. I think this was the easiest signing day I ever had.
And so the other thing is that since these guys have all been committed, since they all lived up to their commitment, there wasn't any of that drama to raise the blood pressure up. And so it's good, solid. We'll find out who the pieces to the puzzle will play next year. You talk about the young guys last year that just scratched the surface. But as we know, I got to tell you, man, looking at the composite shows, SEC, folks, is monster. Georgia, Bama, Texas, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, LSU, Auburn. That's 8 right there that are blockbuster. Tennessee. I mean, this is a juggernaut of a league. How about all of the games? LSU finished up with Oklahoma. Dude, LSU played Oklahoma in a damn championship game not that long ago. I mean,
and see, and that's part of the point. All right.
Yeah.
Look, this class is ranked 10th.
Right.
But guess who's number 1 and number 2?
Mm-hmm.
Georgia
and Bama.
Is that where you want to be? Because when they released the football schedule last week and they're doing their release show, they're talking about LSU's a middle of the pack SEC. They're not even considered the elite in the league.
How long Kirby?
And how can you get there if you're not having elite defensive linemen brought into this program?
How long's Kirby been at Georgia?
What, 7 years, 8 years?
Whatever. Saban. 15 plus.
Mm-hmm.
My point is that you got to give Coach Kelly time to rebuild. He did say, you remember, he needed 1 more class. I'm gonna add.
He needs 2 more.
Yeah, it's gonna be 2 more. And next year, you're gonna be drinking champagne at 10:30 in the morning if Underwood and the great receiver from Duncanville, they got a chance. But this is the year you put the pieces. It's not sexy. It's not mind-boggling. But, man, look at the competition. When you talk about Ole Miss getting 10 transfer portal players and most of them on defense, they're going to be good. Got an easy schedule.
I mean,
Texas.
And so if 10-2 gets you in the playoffs.
Who says that is going to get you in the playoffs right now?
Right. But how many SEC schools thinks they're going 10-2?
I don't know.
About 6?
Look, you would not think there would be an undefeated SEC team next year. And thanks for being on the ride, but hold on. Tighten your chin strap on that helmet, folks. It's going to be one hell of a ride, and they better beat USC in Vegas because Lincoln Riley just signed a $2 million deal with Sharman as their team NIL sponsor. He's always been soft. If you don't beat this soft ass in Vegas, Coach Kelly, you're going to have to shop after midnight.
Blaine says LSU needs 2 DTs in this class. No, well, look, you got Demarion Johnson, but Johnson, to me, is going to need some work. He's going to need time, before you can think about him being the guy. Sean Washington, look, he's made his way to LSU. Georgia first, a junior college next. Can he be a guy? I don't know. Dom McKinley's out there. Certainly looks good for the possibility to flip him. But that's 3. If you say they need 2, well, they're going to have 3. The problem is I'm not sure, I'm not looking at any of those guys. And even though Dom McKinley's got that 5-star rating, I mean, Glenn Dorsey was a 5-star. I'm not viewing Dom McKinley. He's not a 5-star on my site. I have him as a 4, but that's going to make your recruiting class rankings look nice. But I don't think he's if a 5-star defensive lineman's coming in, I'm saying you might see him a little bit as a freshman, and by year 2 he's a starter. I'm not saying that about anybody I'm seeing that are a possibility to come to LSU in this class.
If you get Wingo, Mason, and Savion Jones, I'd love to see Paris Shand come back. He was a junior that did have some eligibility and participated in the senior activities. But look, I think you answered the question earlier. BK is not going to usurp the power of that kid making a decision publicly on January 2nd. But the only sense it makes is that those guys are coming back as to why they had the attitude. Oh, by the way, I talked to some people firmly entrenched, and LSU is about number 7 in the SEC paying players. Texas A&M, he says 1. Texas is 2. Georgia and Alabama 3, 4. Ole Miss put all their chips in this year. Auburn's spending a ton of money. Tennessee's spending a ton of money. You're talking about 7 or 8 on the money chain. And Brian Kelly has said many times, if NIL is the most important thing for a player, LSU may not be the school for you. And I continue to say it. Not only do you have to coach and have psychology,
maybe it'll work for him,
but you got to be a businessman and know how to spend the money. It's a lot more complicated than it was 5 years ago.
Yeah, Trent Johnson had that attitude in basketball too.
Trent Johnson as to, oh, goodness, you did not compare Double M with that. Oh, by the way, Jalen Cook finally made his debut. Why he didn't start, I don't know. They play Lamar tomorrow night in the Pete Maravich Assembly Center at 8 o'clock and trying to get 2,500 in there.
All right, let me scroll down. Danny girl, I hadn't seen her in a while. If we were saying that BK is building and developed, then why are we also questioning the development of those freshmen that are returning on offense? They have had a year development, should progress. I'm not sure.
Well, Merry Christmas, Danny girl, and Nurse Court, and all of our great female viewers who are so smart and love LSU sports just as much as their men counterparts. What about the development on offense?
If we are saying that BK is building and developing, then why are we also questioning the development of those freshmen that are returning on offense? I'm not questioning.
Well, Shelton Sampson is a guy that I think is going to be appreciably better. And you got to talk about the wide receivers. Lance Hurd should be better. I mean, if you're talking about those kind, Pimpton should be better.
When I think about this football team, I don't question any offense.
I was going to say everything we question is on defense.
It's all defense.
Danny girl.
It's all defense.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing I'll say is, like I said earlier, who's your number 1 wide receiver? Who's your number 2? Lacey was kind of the third guy. Does he move up to being a number 2? I don't know that he can be the number 1.
All of that will play out.
But I guess that's a development question. But all of our hardcore teeth gnashing is about the defense.
Yeah.
Hakeem Batiste, solid class, just got to get coached up. Young corners got to get a lot better. Yates, Juwan Johnson, McBride, and Joel Rogers need to contribute. Sage Ryan might get moved back to safety as well. Yeah, he's definitely going to get moved back to safety. And
he'll play corner in the bowl game.
And look, obviously Sage Ryan took his lumps because it's one of those deals. I'm not comparing the two of them, but remember Alex Hurst?
Yeah.
The offensive line that played out of position.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that kid might have had an NFL future, and he quit football. That moved to that tackle position to do LSU a favor because they had no depth. Basically poisoned him And so, look, Sage Ryan is played out of position, and get him back to his natural spot. That's. But he was the best guy they had with all the terrible karma that they had at that spot, and you just got to believe that karma is going to do a 180, and all of a sudden you're going to see multiple guys that can get the job done. I think at all those positions.
Hey, just a quick footnote. I know we had talked about Greg Brooks, but it is the holiday season. Still continue, if you could, Tiger fans, to put Coach Jimmy Lindsay and his family in your prayers, and Greg Brooks and his family in your prayers. Those two guys, once again, we talk about all the defensive, but you lose your D-line coach, you lose your 2 defensive captains, you lose your corner. A tough year. All that being said, please pray for those folks this holiday season.
Cajun 5 says, Mike, I respect you. The negative is a bit much for me. I have confidence in Nuss. I really think Nuss is going to showcase his talent. I'm not being negative on Nuss. I have some questions. I want to see it. I do think it would be a huge positive for him to have a very good first start in that bowl game. And I don't think it would be bode well for his confidence, and then the fan base, what the offseason might be like on talk shows and X and Facebook and message boards if he struggles. And I don't think he will, but you certainly don't want to struggle when you have 2 first-round draft picks they're at your disposal in your debut as a starter on New Year's Day.
I'm happy the young man is getting this opportunity to start. This has been a long time coming. If you remember, he did play most of the Arkansas game after Max Johnson had started and played the first 3 series a couple of years ago. But look, Mike, if you're in empty backfield, we had a high probability last year that Jaden Daniels was going to take the ball and with the quarterback draw, make a lot of yards and incredible play. We'll never see that again. At least I won't my lifetime. A guy that can run on skates and run as fast as he did. 1,134 yards rushing, 10 rushing touchdowns, had 1 fumble. The call should have been made. The Ole Miss kid on targeting, that was his fumble. 40 touchdown passes, of course, only 4 INTs. So he had 10-1 touchdowns to turnover ratio. But Nuss has had a tendency, we're just bringing it up, he's had a tendency to throw it to the other guys a little bit. If he can forget all of that, what's happened? I think he had 2 against Southern in that game a couple of years ago. If he can block all that with a fresh start and just get the football to his playmakers, that is going to be fun to watch. But look, he's not going to run for 1,000 yards, and he probably won't even run for 100 yards.
And I will say this,
but he's got a hell of a cannon.
A lot of people are saying that he's strictly a drop back guy, and he can't. Nussmeier can move.
He can move a little bit.
He's not.
But this is his team.
Yeah.
And he saw for 2 years how Jaden Daniels came in and everybody gravitated him. And it starts with work and the way you handle yourself and making people accountable and you being accountable for every freaking thing you do because every teammate is watching. And that's how you become a leader. And I think the young man's got a great chance. What he's going to do on the field is still a work in progress, but I'm excited about the potential.
Yep. American Patriot with a super chat. Thank you for that. And he says, Merry Christmas, Mike and Buddy, and Merry Christmas to you and everybody. Thank you for that super chat. And I'll tell you what, let's hear from my buddy Tim DeSales over at Koala.
Koala Insulation.
All right, guys. What a company that Tim DeSales has here right in the Baton Rouge area. Koala Insulation of Baton Rouge are your residential and commercial energy efficiency experts. The approaches Koala provides not only help you reduce energy bills and maintain a more comfortable living environment, but can also help reduce airborne allergens, water condensation issues, wear and tear on your HVAC system, and even lengthen the life of your roof shingles. Give them a call today, 225-457-1001. And tell them you heard about them on TigerBait. They're going to give you 7% off on your first project. They did amazing work here in my home, and that those spray foam projects and the things that they do. If your house is set on 72 degrees, some of those spray foam deals, once they get all those things encapsulated, 75 is the max that you'll have in your attic. It's amazing. So think about that. If you recall those 105-degree heat days that we had during the summer, spend some money and you're going to save a ton of money in the long run by getting up in that attic and re-insulating your home. Give the guys at Koala a call. All right, let's jump back into some comments here. Yeah, Chance Babin, Kai Preen moving from wide receiver to DB, just like St. James' own Corey Webster. And
wow, great parallel. Corey,
yeah.
Corey, of course, as we know, Jack Hunt also moved. Jack didn't have the career Corey did, but that is a great parallel, Chance.
NRM Williams, PJ Woodland is my year's Malik Neighbors in terms of ceiling. I think he has the best film outside of Caden and Trey Megatron Green.
Obviously, this is the kid that didn't Ole Miss come after him at the end. You get somebody out of Mississippi,
MVP
Mike,
in the state of Mississippi.
Hattiesburg. Look, generally, a lot of times those kids from Mississippi State flirt with LSU, but when you walk down the aisle, they're either in blue and red or maroon and white, and good to see a purple and gold kid.
Well, right before we went live, my heart stopped a little bit because I thought we might have was seeing something, because we have seen that happen on signing day in years past where you wrap up the day, you're worn out, and of course there wasn't anything wearing about today. It was easy, but where some 25 kids want to get in on it, or the next year's class want to get in on it, and Ryan Oedis from Hattiesburg, the defensive tackle for 25, tweeted out one of those edits that a lot of 25 kids have with the LSU, colors and everything. And I was like, man, did he go down? Did that happen? And it was just an edit, but they're hitting the Hattiesburg area darn hard right now. And that's one of the kids that you got to get, because when you start, I challenged a coach the other day. I said, give me your top 2 defensive tackles in the state of Louisiana. Go for next year. And he couldn't name one. He named the edge rusher at Dutchtown, who I like, and is one to watch. But where's the 6'3", 295-pound interior defensive tackle in Louisiana for 25? 26, St. Aug's got, I think, the next great one. But 25, we're looking to see how what rolls out. Dane Bergeron, speak of the devil, good evening and Merry Christmas, Mike and Buddy. Merry Christmas to you. Cajun 5, if you live by the portal, you'll die by the portal. Yeah. Not disputing anything that Brian Kelly says when it comes to wanting to build your program with players, but because of what he had inherited and chasing that to get the numbers right, sometimes you have to you have to go there more than you want to.
And look, I'll just add real quick. It's easy to forget that when BK took over, he had about 40 players, and he brought in about 30, 35, so you had 75. You had attrition. If you had just had 9 that left here, you got to build this thing up another year. I know we said this year, but one more year. If you get that 25 class, and oh, by the way, let's just verify. Harlan Berry just changed his commitment date. He's going to go January 3rd because of that All-Star game, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then when's Underwood go?
6th.
6th. Folks, believe it or not, I know we're all focused on this. Wait a minute. Are we talking about 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks? Yeah.
Yeah.
So guess what? You could be dancing up till all hours of the night if you start getting that kind of vibe.
You're going to have a lot of news that first week of January.
But 25 to me is the year where LSU, I really think next year, if you took me to Vegas and said they automatically be in the top 12, I'm not buying it. Not yet. You got to see what they're at. Mm-hmm. But Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma, they're all going to be ranked ahead of LSU, and so is Ole Miss. LSU right now could be ranked anywhere from 11 to 12 in the preseason poll. And so with that schedule, though, We're not going to predict records, but once again, Mike and I, as long as it's not 100 degrees, 7, 8,
That is
days
a must game for LSU.
What's that?
Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss at Tiger Stadium.
Well, so is that opener. By the way, 2 open dates, open date before Ole Miss, open date before Alabama, both those games in Tiger Stadium.
The fans see what's going on, okay? You're going to have multiple coaches on defense. We don't know the number. New coaches. And I'm looking at our message board and more and more people are like, who's in charge of scheduling? Man, Verge Alsbury's been getting some heat. Not a lot of, yeah, you like that trip to Vegas. That's fun and all. But, man, USC, UCLA, on top of having Oklahoma to end the year, at A&M, Ole Miss after, is he going to get 11 wins? 2 10-year win seasons and Portal Pete. Man, there's a whole lot that's got to get done right. John Sibley Butler says, Cajun 5, we were all buying Nuss stock. JD5 won the Heisman when lots of Tigers wanted him on the bench. Get with Nuss and let's roll. Carl Dunn, Merry Christmas, Mike and Buddy. Where can I find the radio show online? Carl, if you look in the I've been putting it in every week. If you hit the more button on the YouTube show and you scroll down, there is a link to Buddy's show. That's every day from 1 to 3 o'clock. It's right there in the narrative of the YouTube show every week.
Got to give Carl the Cat a shout out. It's the end of the year.
Speaking of high rankings,
hey, he moved up 23 spots in the high school officials ranking. He was at
what, 72?
I don't want to say, but Carl, congratulations. You're in the top 50. He's my buddy Chico Moore and his wife saw Carl the Cat, and the thing they said is he's not changed. He looks the same as he has in 15 years. And so really one of the greatest Tiger fans of all you folks are great Tiger fans, but Carl the Cat, when you take a freaking bus to go see LSU play in Omaha and take it back, that is the kind of loyalty that not just everybody is willing to go. So Cat, hope you and the family have a Merry Christmas.
Music says, I think Nuss's biggest issue, ironically, is getting the ball out too fast. He just needs to slow it down, but part of that is the situations he's been in.
Yeah, experience will make him better on that. Look, Jaden Daniels wasn't a finished product.
Now, Music right here, you guys know it. Music has been the original Nuss Bus guy for how many years on this channel?
Gosh.
And I want to meet Music because I have a feeling that could actually be Garrett Nussmeyer. No, I'm kidding.
No, look, let's just remember this. You've got to compare Nuss.
Or a cousin, maybe.
To Burrow in 18 and Jaden Daniels in 22. Those guys did not kill it the first year. This is another reason I'm all in on 2025, Mike. A.J. Swine is going to come in and compete with Ricky Collins and Colin Hurley for the backup. But that room with a year of starting, and then Underwood, if you get him and these guys sticking around, all that talent coming in. But Mike still says, where's the frickin' beef? He wants some guys that throw people around like empty Coke cans. And that's what you have when you have great D-line.
The thing about it is, buddy, honestly, look, we know how bad the defense was. I actually like the DBs now. I think there's enough talent there. They're gonna come with all those. If everybody's healthy and those numbers and the guys, the influx of talent and guys coming back from rehab, they've got people there to get the job done. I like the linebackers. To me, the only unit on the team that is the biggest issue, and I'm combining them all, not just interior defensive line, is your edge rushers and your defensive tackles.
Well, you got to do a better job of fitting the pieces to the puzzle on the scheme, and for the life of me, I would love to see them jumping around and blitzing and disguising and stunting and. Man, you watch the Saints. I've said this numerous times. A lot of times coaches in college go to the pros for 3 days and say, teach me what I don't know. Why they don't go down to the Saints and pick their brains defensively? The Saints haven't given up a touchdown in the last 2 games. Now, everybody knows about Derek Carr and their problems, and they may not make the playoffs. But my point is that they've got to get smarter and better. on defense. And I'm talking scheme-wise. I'm not talking about Coach House. I'm talking about the scheme, that soft-ass zone, retreating. They got to get after people and get aggressive and go get that quarterback and start forcing. And like you said, that makes your DBs and corners a lot better when you put that pressure.
Dane Bergeron with a super chat. This is BK's third recruiting class. How much longer will the previous staff continue to be blamed?
Shouldn't be blamed at all.
No, yeah, you shouldn't blame anymore. Now you can say, why are you in this situation? Why are you still chasing this position?
Jason, you're talking Coach O? What?
No.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for that super chat, Dane. Big time.
Snake, you're the man.
One more thing here.
You can rebuild, folks, quicker now with unlimited signees and the transfer portal. And let's be honest, Mike, one of the reasons LSU went 9-3 last year is they missed on some transfer portal guys, specifically Deuce Chestnut, Denver Harris, and some of the other guys. So maybe he got burned a little bit. He wants to build it with freshmen. We'll see how it works out. But if you get a lot of the guys, by the way, what do you think Major Burns is going to do?
I think he's gone.
Gone?
Yeah.
Logan Diggs.
That I don't know. Heading to BK's press conference today, Josh Williams walked in front of me and said, "One more year, huh?" He goes, "Yes, sir." So there you go.
That's the kind of football player Brian Kelly wants right there. Josh Williams, my brother, respect you. Hey, there's always discussion about the 7 and 18. Wouldn't bother me if Josh Williams got 18 next year. Of course, Wingo, if he comes back, he may want it again. We'll see.
Two things for Christmas. Don't worry about Blue Bonnet if you don't have to. If you are going to worry about Blue Bonnet, you go to Alumni Hall. But also, nothing better for Christmas than a TigerBait gift subscription. That link is on the front page of TigerBait.com. If you see the Santa Claus little gift we have there on the front page, easy to set up a digital gift card, a premium subscription to TigerBait for a year. Give yourself a premium gift subscription. It's all right there on the front page of TigerBait.com. Love to have you or whoever the LSU fan in your life you want to give a subscription to. TigerBait is a great one for that. But Alumni Hall, great gifts for LSU fans. They've got I swung in there the other day. We went to the movies the other night, swung in there to say hello to Rachel and the staff, and loaded out with great gears. They had some fantastic looking canvas, little luggage pieces and duffel bags in the front window, all the great sweatshirts. They've got it all for you. And 20% off if you say code TigerBait. And you can mention that in store when you go in, say TigerBait, it's going to give you 20% off. Or you can use online at alumnihall.com. And when you go to checkout, put in that code TigerBait and you're going to get 20% off. And so obviously now with the date, you probably don't want to order online because of shipping and it not getting there on time. So make your way over to Perkins Row, a beautiful shop right there, and they've got everything you need. All right, let's roll through some more comments real quick. Anything you want to add, buddy?
Just that, this time of year is very hard for people. We had a death in our family, and a lot of people lost loved ones this year. And, one of our buddies that was in the media for many years ago, Charles Borbury, passed a year or so ago, and he used to always end with, "May the good Lord bless and keep you." And we certainly wish all of you the best. But for those that are dealing with medical issues or have family members that they lost, we put our prayers towards you, because this will be tough holidays. But time will heal all things, and maybe Mike won't be so spicy about defensive tackles next week.
Yeah.
But all kidding aside, hope and Merry Christmas to all you families out there, because we do appreciate all of you and all the Tiger fan base, because it's unique and special. And like John Brady said many years ago, the best thing about LSU is the fans. But boy, when you stink it up, they get clothespins and it gets a little spicy. But no place like this place. And I know you and I appreciate the interaction we have every week on this show.
Kent Jones says, and Nurse Court, I saw your comment earlier, and I forgot to go back to it.
Court, happy Merry Christmas. Congratulations.
There might have been Peggy. I think it was Nurse Court. Kent Jones says, people are asking about Denbrock leaving. Did he sign his extension? Yeah, Denbrock's not going anywhere.
No, Denbrock got a 3-year deal and a nice raise.
Yep. And A&M, he can thank A&M for that.
Yep.
All right, guys. Merry Christmas to you all. Thank you all for being so great to us all year long. I'm not sure what we're gonna do one next week, right?
Well, we'll see. Looks like we probably will. But
Yeah, we'll be back next week. So hope you all have a Merry Christmas, and we'll be back with a show next week. And thanks again for all you guys tuning in. And it's been a great year with one more show left to go. So good night, everybody. See y'all next week. Merry Christmas.